Distribution key. You all know something on your game.
Spiritual master, I bow down to those feet with great awe and reverence. I disgrace from the cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The daily spiritual sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, reveal unto us, give us the shade of the lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at the lotus feet of Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
The last 3 days it was there. Same wash. No, no need. But that's the last 3 days it was there. 10 days.
I don't think so because it is somebody who but I watched it because it was still not so
we have to keep it all time.
yeah, watching it.
You are writing? Which verse is forgotten? Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जयं विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमाद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की चैतन्य चरितामृत की गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। रीडिंग फ्रॉम चैतन्य चरितामृत, मध्य लीला chapter 21, the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. Text 59 till 79. Hare Krishna. Text 60 is written on the board, so we'll recite this together. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, जयाद्वैत चंद्र जयो गौरभक्त वृंदा। कृष्ण कहिन कुन ब्रह्मा की नमतहार, कृष्ण कहिन कुन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारी अशी ब्रह्मारे पूछे आर बार दारी अशी ब्रह्मारे पूछे आर बार कृष्ण कहिन कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारी अशी ब्रह्मारे पूछे आर बार कृष्ण कहिन कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारी अशी ब्रह्मारे पूछे आर बार
कृष्ण कहिन कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारिया से ब्रह्मा पूछे आर बार कृष्ण कहिन कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारिया से ब्रह्मा पूछे हर बार
माता जी
कृष्ण कहे कोनो ब्रह्मा की नामतहार
कृष्ण कहिन कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार
द्वारिया से ब्रह्मा रे पूछे आर बार
कृष्ण कहे कौन ब्रह्मा की नामतहार द्वारिया से ब्रह्मा रे पूछे आर बार
What word meaning, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Krishna kahin. Krishna said. Kon Brahma. Which Brahma? Ki namatahar. What is his name? Dwari Ashi. The doorman. Coming back. Brahmare to Lord Brahma. Puche inquires. Arvar again. Translation. When Krishna was so informed, he immediately asked the doorman, which Brahma? What is his name? The doorman therefore returned and questioned Lord Brahma. Please repeat. When Krishna was so informed, he immediately asked the doorman, which Brahma? What is his name? The doorman therefore returned and questioned Lord Brahma. Purport. From this verse we can understand that Brahma is the name of the post, and that the person occupying the post has a particular name also. From the Bhagavad Gita, Imam Vivasvate Yogam. Vivasvan is the name of the present predominating deity of the sun. He is generally called Surya, the sun god, but he also has his own particular name. The governor of the state is generally called Rajapala, but he also has his own individual name. Since there are hundreds and thousands of Brahmas with different names, Krishna wanted to know which of them had come to see him. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. It is my honor and privilege to be here at the lotus feet of Gauranitai Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, New Jagannath Puri. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Damodar Prabhu, for inviting me. So, every Ekadashi you have Chaitanya Charitamrita class? Every Sunday. Wow, good. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita is very important, very special. It says Chaitanya Charitamrita Amritir Sindhu Jagat Anande Bhashai Tar Ek Bindu. Chaitanya Charitamrita is known as Amritir Sindhu, ocean of nectar. And even a drop of that ocean can submerge whole world into ecstasy. Only one drop we require from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Prabhupada used to compare Chaitanya Charitamrita, the book for PhD. Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita is for school, Bhagavatam for the college students, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is for PhD. You know? So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, now you are PhD students. Huh? So Prabhupada wrote the introduction of Adi Leela, the beginning of first part of Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you read in the introduction, Prabhupada mentioned that my Guru Maharaj Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he predicted that the day will come when the people from all over the world, they will learn Bengali simply to release the nectar of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada says, since my Guru Maharaj predicted, it's definitely going to happen. And then Prabhupada further says, Chaitanya Charitamrita was the most favorite book of my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Especially during the last days of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he would simply recite Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada was traveling to USA by Jaladuta, so Prabhupada was carrying a small, Bengali Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada says, even after having heart attacks twice, I could maintain my enthusiasm for preaching because I was getting strength from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first time. So powerful, huh? Someone asked Prabhupada, you are a Bengali, and Bengalis are very sweet. And also, he says, in Bengali, sweet meats are also sweet, right? Rasgulla, Gulab Jamun. Bengali language also sweet. So he says, Prabhupada, what do you consider most sweetest in Bengali? Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Not Rasgulla, not Gulab Jamun, but Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's so powerful, huh? So, it's most practical books, especially those who are practicing bhakti in the age of Kali. It's most practical. See, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna's instructions to Arjuna. And in Bhagavatam is the example of those instructions by Krishna. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita is how to practice those instructions in the association with devotees. That's why this is most practical book. We can relate everything. Each and every first times of Chaitanya Charitamrita we can relate while staying in ISKCON. It's like, some senior devotees, they perform this first time. So that's why it's most practical, And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, therefore he says, even if someone do not understand Chaitanya Charitamrita, but keep on listening and hearing, he will reach to the platform of Krishna Prem. This is so powerful. So he says, Jiva nahi bujhe keho, shunite shunite sheho. Even if someone do not understand the meaning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sunite Sunite Shiva, by repeatedly hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita, ki adbhut Chaitanya Charita, is very special Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he says, Krishna upajive priti, that by the wonderful effects of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first times will bring him to the love of Godhead Krishna. So powerful, So, this chapter is describing the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Sanatana Goswami. So this is Sanatana Siksha is called, in combinedly it's called Sanatana Siksha, which is very important. Rupa Siksha, previously, before that it was Rupa Siksha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Rupa Goswami in Dasashwamedh Ghat. After this Sanatana Siksha, which is very important. So we actually, the Vaishnava principles, whatever we are following in ISKCON, that is actually based on Sanatana Goswami Siksha by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the background is Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami actually came back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Both of them, Rup and Sanatan, they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramakeli. So after first meeting, Rupa Goswami, he could, resign from his job, and he, he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Sanatan Goswami, he was, jailed by the king. So later on, Sanatan Goswami could escape from the jail, and he, almost month-long traveling, he finally arrived in Varanasi to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya in Varanasi, Kashi. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw, he was so happy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was waiting for Sanatan to come. And he tightly embraced Sanatan, just like this picture, Krishna and covered by. So there is another picture, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tightly embracing Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan was so happy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is similarly waiting for us. He is ready to tightly embrace us, but we have to go. So Sanatan Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw Sanatan Goswami finally came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was repeatedly looking towards the valuable woolen blanket of Sanatan Goswami. So he gave up everything. In fact, Sanatan Goswami, he after taking bath in Ganga, he didn't take the new cloth. He took some old dhoti of Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And he kind of tore into 3 pieces. He made his dhoti. But still he was wearing a very valuable blanket. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was looking towards that blanket again and again. And Sanatan realized, I gave up everything. Still I have attachment for this blanket. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't like this. So see, that is wonderful nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Till we give up our last attachment, we will not get complete mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhur Bhaktagan Vairagya Pradhan Jaha Dekhe Pritahan Gaur Bhagavan. So it says Chaitanya, the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their nature is they exhibit renunciation. And by seeing the renunciation or detachment of his devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels very happy. So we can please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by detachment and renunciation. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach 2 things, the Bhakti Yoga and detachment. So when he saw the detachment of Sanatan Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy. And then only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became completely satisfied with Sanatan Goswami. And when he became completely satisfied with Sanatan Goswami, then Sanatan Goswami, he got empowerment from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he could ask all this question. So it has connection, how Sanatan Goswami could ask such a wonderful, exalted questions. Because he gave up everything, all kinds of attachments. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became extremely happy with him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became merciful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him. Then he could ask all this question. So he says, Prasanna Haya Prabhu Tare, Prasanna Haya Prabhu Tare Kripa Koila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became completely pleased with Sanatan Goswami's detachment, and he became very merciful to him. And Tar Kripai Prashna Karite, Tar Shakti Hoila. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became merciful, by his mercy, Sanatan Goswami could ask all these wonderful questions. So, and then example is given, 2 examples. One is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's discussion with Ramananda Rai. Another one is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's discussion with Sanatan Goswami. So, in Ramananda Rai's conversation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking question, and Ramananda Rai was answering, replying. And here Sanatan Goswami is asking question, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is replying. But Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he says, although in this conversation Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is replying, and that conversation Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking question. So he says, the quality of asking question and answer actually comes by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here Sanatan Goswami could ask this question because by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there Ramananda Rai could answer the questions by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, it's Very important. And then Sanatana Goswami, he started to ask different questions like Krishna's real identity, Krishna and Radha Krishna's conjugal love, and Krishna's personal opulences, and different mellows or devotional service. So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to answer those questions. So Sanatana basically, he wanted to know Krishna's greatness. See, Krishna has two qualities. One is called Mahanata, another one is called Madhurata. So Mahanata means greatness of Krishna, Madhurata means sweetness of Krishna. So unless we understand the greatness of Krishna, we can't jump into sweetness of Krishna. So therefore Sanatana Goswami, if we see this chapter especially, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing the different universes. The spiritual world and material world, different layers of spiritual world and different layers of material world. And sometimes we find all these things so boring. We can discuss Krishna's first time. So that's why unless we understand Krishna's greatness, we will not be able to understand Krishna's sweetness. So that's why it's very important. Sanatana clarified every aspects of Krishna's greatness. And then at the end, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will describe Krishna's sweetness, Krishna's confidential dealings with, gopis and Srimati Radharani. So, like otherwise, we can't discuss all those, confidential topic in the beginning. Generally, our tendency is to, because we are envious to Krishna, that's why our tendency is to discuss all these first times in the beginning. There is a famous story. Prabhupada went to one richest man house somewhere in India, and he was very close to Prabhupada before Prabhupada came to America, and he helped Srila Prabhupada a lot. So when Prabhupada went, and after establishing ISKCON, Prabhupada went to their home, and his wife, she was requesting Prabhupada, Swamiji, can you narrate some confidential first time of Radharani and Krishna? Prabhupada was reluctant, Prabhupada was not narrating, and she was still insisting, Swamiji, 1 to first times, just one confidential first time of Radharani and Krishna, especially something about Radharani. So when she was insisting, and Prabhupada, one moment Prabhupada says, you may be qualified to hear, but I am not qualified to speak. So here, the different universes are explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And different layers of spiritual and material world, Vaikuntha planets, Mathura, Dwaraka, and then Devi Dham. This material world is called Devi Dham, Brahma Loka, everything is described. So in this section, so after describing different universal affairs, here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, saying that, these, universes, is very difficult to ascertain the numbers of unlimited universe. It's very difficult. This is for us, it's impossible because universes are unlimited. So therefore, in this regard, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is narrating one story of Dwaraka. So when Krishna was in Dwaraka, one day, these sisters from previous birth, Ekdin Dwarakate Krishna dekhibare Brahma aila Dwarapal janaila Krishna re. So one day when Krishna was ruling Dwaraka, Lord Brahma came to see Krishna. And the doorman immediately informed Krishna of Brahma's arrival. Krishna kahin kono Brahma kina matahar dari ashi Brahma re puche var. When Krishna was informed, the doorman, they returned and they questioned Lord Brahma, which Brahma you are? Bismita hoya Brahma darike kohila kaho gya sanak pita chaturmukha aila. And Brahma was totally surprised. He told the doorman, please go in from, I am the father of 4 Kumaras. See, we can well understand Brahma's mind at that time. Even if someone in our temple say, which Prabhu is this? We'll feel so much insulted, And Brahma, can you imagine, So it kind of, so Brahma was saying, I am father of 4 Kumaras. Which Brahma? What type of question is this? I am the only Brahma. And he says, Krishna janaiya dari Brahma relaya gelo. Krishna charane Brahma dandavata koilo. Brahma went inside and Brahma offered his obeisances to Krishna. Krishna man puja kori tare prashna koilo. Ki lagi tomar iha agamana hoilo. Then Krishna told Brahma that why have you come here? But Brahma says, my dear Lord, before giving the reason why I come here, I have one doubt in my mind. What is doubt?
Why you ask for Brahma?
Which Brahma? Yeah. Kon Brahma puchile tumi kon abhipray? Why did you ask this question? Which Brahma? So Krishna started to smile, and Krishna kind of called all the Brahma from other universes. Dash bish shata sahasra ajut laksha badan. Kottar buddha mukhakaro na jai ganan. And then Krishna called all other Brahma. Some had 10 heads, some 20, some 100, some 1,000, some 10,000. So many unlimited Brahma appeared in a minute. And these Brahma, he was finding himself so insignificant in front of them, He was appearing like in front of an elephant, he is like an ant. And then along with Brahmas, Rudra gana aila lakha koti vadan, Indra gana aila lakha koti nayan. And then also along with Brahma, unlimited, innumerable, Shiva came, Lord Shiva, and innumerable Indra also came. So, and then this way, Krishna kind of smashed Brahma's pride, and at the end he says, Yoda hati Brahma Rudradi Karayastavan, Bada Kripa Karila Prabhu Dekhaila Charan. With folded hands, all the Brahmas and Shiva, they began to pray, at the lotus feet of Krishna. And then, Brahma, basically, he understood his mistake, So, at the end, Brahma, therefore says, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, he says, Jananta eva Jananta, King Bahukta Name Prabhu. It will come after few verses. So maybe in next class it will come. So Brahma says, Manasam Bapushu Bacho Vaibhavam Tavagochara. So Brahma's realization was, at the end, Brahma says, there are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Oh my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your offenses are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of mind, body and words. So Brahma is saying, Janantam eva Jananta. Many people may say, I know about Krishna. But now I can't claim that I know about Krishna. And then he gave the example, what to speak of, in tiny living entity like Brahma, even Ananta Nag, Ananta Shesh, he can't also know Krishna. And then he says, what to speak of Ananta Shesh, even Krishna himself, we don't know, he's completely about himself, So, and then if we find, if we see that in Srimad Bhagavatam, exactly the same thing happened. Brahma got bewildered by seeing Krishna's childhood first time with the Gopas, Brahma Bimohan Leela, So, it's like Brahma was basically, he was falsely proud of his position. I was such a big, I am the head of the universe. So how come Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not recognize me? So, so therefore, it's called, of course, Brahma, he is teaching us, but it's called the tendency of demoniac people. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dambha, Darpa, Abhimanasya, Krodha, Parasyamevacha, Agyana cha Vijatasya, Partha Sampadam, Asurim. So these are called the qualities of demoniac people. Dambha, pride, Darpa, arrogance, and Abhimam. So false ego. So therefore Brahma, if we see in Kali Yuga, Brahma came as Haridas Thakur, Brahma Haridas. Brahma came as Brahma was feeling, time and time again, because of my forced position, I get, falsely popped off. Therefore, I want to born in a very lower caste. So therefore, Brahma came as Haridas Thakur, and he was chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. So, therefore Kunti Maharani says, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Sribhi Edaman Edamadapuman Naibar Arhatya Abhidhatum Vai Tam Akinchana Gochara. So these four things, takes us away from Krishna, doesn't allow us to incline to the lotus feet of Krishna. Janma, high class birth, Aishwarya, wealth, Shruta, knowledge, material knowledge, and Shri, if someone is physical beautiful. So Kunti Maharani says, Tam Akinchana Gochara. So Krishna can be seen only by Akinchan. Those who are materially exhausted, Prabhupada says. And therefore sometimes it's good. Prabhupada actually spoke once. Prabhupada says sometimes it's good to born as poverty stricken in poor family. Sometimes it's good not to have high class position. There is a verse in Prabhupada quoted from Purana. It says, Daridra dosha gunarashi nashi. It says sometime, person is poverty stricken, that, naturally his false pride, destroys. Daridra dosha gunarashi nishi. So, Brahma came as, Haridas Thakur, and therefore he, kind of exhibited real humble nature. And he was never asking, which Haridas Thakur? No. In fact, if you remember, when Haridas Thakur was quitting body, in Antalila these descriptions come, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, Haridas Thakur was, he placed his head on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lap. And he, kind of left his body in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya, he, expressed his desire, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I want to quit my body before you depart from this material world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu almost started crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Nahi, Haridas, how is possible without you?" This is Jagannath Baldev Sodra Maharani ki, Gauranitai ki. Chaitanya, can you imagine? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so emotional. He said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amar ja kichu sukh sab tumalaya. Whatever happiness I am getting in this material world is because of you, Haridas. So you should not leave me alone. But Chaitanya Haridas Thakur was so determined, he kind of tightly hold Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. He says, no, Mahaprabhu, I want to leave my body before you. And then see the difference between Brahma's mentality and Haridas Thakur. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, this mission, the spreading the holy name of the Lord is actually I am doing by you because you are Nam Acharya. Acharya of holy name. Then how will be possible without you? And now if someone asks us, no, Prabhu, it's not possible for you to run this temple, to do all this preaching, we'll say, yes, you are right. And Haridas Thakur, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was praising Haridas Thakur, it's not possible for you to continue this mission. And what was the reply of Haridas Thakur? Haridas Thakur says, Ama Shama ek pipilika moile prithivir kaha hani hoilo. He said, Mahaprabhu, don't say like this. I am like an ant. And all the great devotees, Ramananda, Swarabdamodar, Sarvabhauma, they are like an elephant. They can't do a lot more preaching than me. And then Haridas Thakur says, Ama Shama pipilika moile prithivir kaha hani hoilo. If an ant like me dies, then there is no loss of material world. If an ant die in front of this Zurich temple gate, will it publish in tomorrow's newspaper? Yes? No? So Haridas Thakur is such a great devotee and he is considering I am like an ant. And see, Brahma was considering why Krishna is asking which Brahma. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is requesting Haridas Thakur, without you it's not possible. So therefore we should always remember, without us also is possible. Very much possible, I was remembering once, our Guru Maharaj, one devotee, he was manager of a temple. So, he was doing nice preaching and cultivating many devotees and good manager also. And then, Maharaj, suddenly had his Tugushti with all the devotees and he told him, we got one new center. And you have to move there tomorrow. Suddenly, and it was like all the congregation devotees, they are shocked. And they will, no, Maharaj, how is possible without him? He is cultivating us. You see, last week, 40 devotees took initiation because of him, They are trying to convince Maharaj, But Maharaj says, no, we opened a new center, he have to go there. So, the meeting was over, then we are going towards airport. I was in the car and the driver was there and one more devotee came, another manager. And he came in the car, he thought he will convince Maharaj. so that that devotee can stay on that temple. So in the car, while going to airport, he says, Maharaj, the devotees, they are not feeling good, he should stay here, if you allow him. And that time Maharaj got so upset. He says, remember one thing, in ISKCON, in this movement, everyone comes because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada, not for us. And I was trembling almost. He became so upset with the devotee. Don't think devotees are coming in this movement because of you. It's actually because of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Haridas Thakur was telling Mahaprabhu, is very much possible without me to continue this mission, But Brahma's mood was different, So therefore, even in one verse, Prabhupada, the forward Prabhupada spoke about Indra also, because when Krishna called Brahma, Indra and Shiva also came, So Indra's, similarly same thing happened with Indra. Indra made, offense at the lotus feet of Krishna during Govardhan Leela. And then, Indra also, he was feeling that, time and time again, I become falsely proud because of my possessions, because I am the king of heaven. So therefore, Indra wanted to rectify him, and he came to Mayapur at the end of Dapar Yuga, Godram Deep. And with Surabhi cow, actually Indra asked this question to Surabhi cow, because he came to beg forgiveness after Govardhan Leela by holding the tail of Surabhi guy. So he, then, when Krishna forgave Indra, and Indra told Surabhi cow that, Surabhi cow, tell me one thing, I, always gets fucked up because of my possessions, but you are always serving Krishna with humble mood. How is possible? Then Surabhi cow took Indra to Mayapur at that time, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So they went to Godrum Deep, and Surabhi cow and Indra performed austerity in the end of Dapar Yuga. And Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then, Krishna told, Indra and Surabhi cow that I will come in this form in Kali Yuga, So that's why, Indra and Brahma and the other demigods, great demigods, they committed offense many times, So therefore, to consider I am so big, why no one is recognizing me? This is called false ego. So I am considering I am so big, but actually everything is happening by the arrangement of nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahamkara vimudatma kartaham. So who is considering himself doer is actually because of false ego, false pride. He's puffed up for his positions. Prabhupada once, cooking. Prabhupada was teaching how to make chapati, roti, chapati. So Prabhupada is teaching some of his Western disciples how to make chapati. So he was kind of make the dough. He made the dough and he was rolling the chapati. So after rolling, Prabhupada kind of he put the chapati on the flame, stove. And suddenly, after you keep the chapati on flame, it gets popped up. Prabhupada called, come here, everyone come here, everyone come here. All the devotees are shocked. What happened, Prabhupada? Prabhupada, see this chapati is considering so big himself. And Prabhupada took a pin and pinched it. Immediately all air went out. And Prabhupada says, see, this chapati is considering so big, but nothing is there inside. So this is our nature, we consider ourselves so big, So, but actually we are not, Like the example is, from Ramayana. Hanuman and Surasa. Hanuman was crossing the ocean, So when Hanuman was crossing the ocean, three obstacles came on the way to Hanuman, So it's kind of, is compare, our acharyas, they compared. Similarly, we are trying to cross this ocean of material world to reach to spiritual world. And while crossing the ocean, three obstacles will come. So first obstacle when Hanuman was leaping across the ocean, first one was Mainak Parvat, golden mountain. So Mainak Parvat is compared with the material luxuries and comfort. So when Mainak Parvat came, Mainak Parvat told Hanuman, you can take rest for some time, then you can do service. Sometimes this type of allurement comes, while doing service, book distribution, Sankirtan, many people will offer, oh, Prabhu, this room is only for devotees. Stay here. So nice, huh? It's okay, make all kinds of arrangement. I will sleep for 2 days and then I will do prachar. Hanuman didn't say like this. Hanuman says, no, I am now rendering service to Lord Ramachandra, no rest, till I accomplish my job. So the first obstacle on the path of bhakti is the comfort and luxuries of material life. And the second one was, shadow catching demon. So Hanuman, when he crossed further, then one demoness came. And then, was catching, Hanuman actually went away. But she caught Hanuman's shadow. And she wasn't allowing Hanuman to move, So shadow is, shadow catching people are there, our, so-called friends and relatives, family and non-devotees. We may move forward in Krishna consciousness, but they will remind us, we used to go in, for film in our childhood, So they are catching our shadows, So we have to stay away from them. And the third one, what we are discussing for today's topic, that is Surasa. The demoness Surasa came, the third obstacles in our bhakti. That is Surasa, and Hanuman was almost reaching near to Lanka, Sri Lanka. So she appeared in front of Hanuman. And she says, I got a benediction from Brahma that no one can cross this ocean without entering into my mouth. So she opened her mouth quite big. And now Hanuman says, no, I am also powerful. Hanuman also, enlarged his body one step. She is enlarging, Hanuman is enlarging, like competition. Who can become big? Sometimes in our movement we see, I am the big devotee, I am big devotee. No, I am big, I am big. Who is big? So there is a competition. We fight with each other. No, I am the biggest devotee. I am the great devotee. So if we keep on this competition, who is big devotee in this temple, then it will go on. And we can't cross the ocean of material world. We can't render service to Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, Hanuman, as an acharya, he taught us. Hanuman realized, if I keep on fighting with this demoness, I am big, then what is the use? She is demon, but I am a devotee. I came to serve Lord Rama. She is not. So therefore, Hanuman, he he took his body like gigantic body. Immediately, Hanuman becomes so tiny, like a rat. And her mouth was quite open, and Hanuman entered into her mouth, came out, Hare Krishna, Mataji. So I fulfilled your desire, So if we keep on, like competing with each other, I am big, then there is no end. But we have to follow the footsteps of Hanuman, that I am a small devotee, you are the greatest devotee of this temple, you are the best devotee. And we have to move forward, So Brahma was thinking, why no one is recognizing me? Why Krishna is not recognizing me? I am such a great devotee. I am, controlling the topmost planet, Brahmalok, and still, Krishna is not recognizing me. So therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says that, is desire for prestige, and name, fame, and adoration is like Shukarir Vishtha. Jadir Pratishtha Shukarir Vishtha. The desire to get name, fame, adoration, and false prestige in this material world is like what? Is like the stool of a hog. Now someone asked, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Maharaj, why did you compare with the stool of a hog? Well, there are so many animals, Why did you compare only stool of a hog, this desire for name, fame, and adoration? Why? Anyone knows? He could have said, a stool of a dog, a stool of a cat.
The stool of the hog is the baddest stool, because the hog already eats stools.
Yes, it was already stool. It's so nasty. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur therefore is comparing the desire for false prestige is like a stool of a hog. It was already a stool. So Brahma was thinking, why no one is recognizing me? And you see, on the other hand, we have example in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Madhavendra Puri. You see, Madhavendra Puri, he went to Gopinath temple in Remuna. Anyone been there? Remuna? Okay. So you go there, it's very famous. It's few hours from Jagannath Puri. So then when Madhavendra Puri, he went there. Gopinath temple is very famous. Gopinath temple. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur and many other great acharyas took birth on that place. So he used to worship Gopal deity in Govardhan. So Madhavendra Puri heard that in Gopinath temple they offer a special sweet to Gopinath. So he desired to taste that sweet so that he can offer similar, he can make similar, sweet for his Lord Gopal. But then he decided, no, it was wrong actually. Before offering to the Lord, I should not have desire, to eat all those items, And then, they generally offer 12, the sweet in 12 pots, 12 clay pots every day. Still now also, You were there, Damodar, you were with me? I thought you didn't say that. You forgot, Yeah, we were there, in Gopinath temple. So, we went from Mayapur to Gopinath temple and then Puri. So, and then, when Pujari offered these 12 pots of kheer, at the night, the Lord came into the dream of Pujari and says, I have kept one pot of kheer for Madhavendra Puri. You can go to the Ramuna city and you will find one devotee, Madhavendra. He came from Vrindavan. So that's why he became known, popularly known as Kheer Chor Gopinath. He had stolen sweet for his devotee. So then this Pujari, he got up and at night, he went at the back of altar and he found it really, one pot of sweet was kept for Gopinath and Madhavendra Puri. So he went to the city and he was calling, Madhavendra Puri, where are you? Where are you? You are such a great devotee. The Lord has stolen for you. And when Madhavendra Puri heard, the Gopinath Lord has stolen kheer, sweet for me, immediately he left the city. He says, if I stay here tomorrow morning, I will become so popular. And just consider if tomorrow morning Jagannath and Gaurnita comes to the dream of Pujari and says, I kept one special sweet for one devotee in this temple. And we will not give up this opportunity. We will call all the newspaper, all the media. At least Facebook and WhatsApp we should go. See, I am so great devotee, Lord had stolen kheer for me, But Madhavendra Puri, such an exalted devotee, he says, Pratishthar bhai puri gelo palaiya, Krishna preme pratishtha chale sange gadaiya. He was afraid of false prestige. He was afraid of name, fame and adorations. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, he was really scared. If I stay in this city tomorrow morning, I will become popular. Everyone will glorify me, everyone will praise me. Therefore, I should leave this city. That night only he left the Ramuna city. He went to Jagannath Puri. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, the nature of Krishna Prem is like that. Krishna Prema Pratishtha Chale Sangha Gadaya. So the devotees, we don't have to run after name, fame and adoration. Rather, name, fame and adoration will run after us. He says, So therefore the devotees, they never desire for all this, prestige and recognition, like Brahma wanted, So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we have, just let me know when to finish. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he compiled a book, Krishna Karunamrita. It was his commentary to Krishna Karunamrita, famous book which was found by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So on that book, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explained about Braj Bhajan. Braj Bhajan means Bhajan in Vrindavan. So he says, who can stay in Vrindavan? Who can perform his Bhajan in Vrindavan? He said, not everyone. So on that commentary, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained, the demons killed by Krishna in Vrindavan. So he listed, like 22 demons. The Krishna killed in Vrindavan, all those demons, they represent specific anarthas. And therefore, Krishna kind of killed them. He says Krishna kicked all those demons out of Vrindavan. So he says these demons, they represent anarthas, therefore Krishna didn't allow them to stay in Vrindavan. Because to stay in Vrindavan, you have to get rid of those anarthas. So while explaining, Trinavartasur, Trinavartasur. So this Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained, Trinavarta is, symbol of false pride. Trinavarta represents false pride because he was thinking like Brahma, I am so big. And what he did, Trinavarta? You remember how? Yeah, he carried Krishna, kind of almost towards the sky. And he is considered, I am so big, no one can touch me. I am so big, big, big. So more you consider yourself big, the more dangerous will be fall down. So when he fell down, he was totally destroyed, smashed, So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained, Trinavarta's mentality is, he was considering, I am so big. I can, I am so big, I can reach even to a sky. But Krishna killed him. So therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if we have mentality like Trinavartasur, which is false pride, Krishna will destroy us, Krishna will throw us away from Vrindavan. He will not allow us to stay in Vrindavan. So, so therefore, this, the desire, for recognition, name, fame, adoration, it comes actually from false ego. And Prabhupada says it's mainly for bodily concept of life. Deha pattal kalatradishu atma sanneshu asaswapi tesham pramatta nidanam pashyanapi na pashyati. So because of deha, sharir, apatta, children, family, relatives, attachment for material wealth, then we consider ourselves this body, and then false pride comes. So therefore in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 15th chapter, he says 5 qualities. If we can develop 5 qualities, we can immediately go back to Godhead. In 15th chapter, he says, Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha, adhyatma nitta binivritta kama, dandari vimokta sukha dukha sangair, gachanti amuda padamabhayam tab. So he says, gachanti amuda means who can go back to Godhead immediately, very quickly, gachanti. Who? Nirmana. The first quality is who is free from false prestige. The 5 qualities he mentioned, the first one is this. Then he can go back to Godhead very quickly, very easily. Therefore, like Brahma understood his mistake. And Brahma in Bhagavatam, we find Brahma says, Tatte anukampam susamikshamanam bhunjanam evatma kratam vipakam. When he realized his mistake, he says, my dear Lord, it's all your causeless mercy. Otherwise, I should have suffered more because of a fast misdeed. But my dear Lord, you mercifully reduced my suffering. So that should be the mentality of everyone. And Prabhupada says, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 8th chapter, 14th verse, if I'm not wrong. Or maybe 14th chapter, 8th verse. So Prabhupada once is speaking about this verse, that whatever is happening with us, all are causeless mercy of Krishna. There is plan behind everything. And Prabhupada says, Prabhupada made a very important statement. Prabhupada says, this verse should be the guideline for all the ISKCON devotees. Prabhupada made that statement. Because whenever something happens, then we get frustrated. But when we realize this Brahma's prayer, that whatever is happening with me is actually because of the mercy of Krishna. So therefore we have to surrender unto Krishna, and then then only this, the desire for false pride, recognition, and prestige will go away. Krishna is known as Madhusudan. What is the meaning of Madhusudan? Killer of Madhu. But if you say Madhusudan also means Madhusudan also means Madhu klivam cha madhavike krite karma subhashube. It says, what is the meaning of Madhu? Madhu klivam cha madhavike krite karma subhashube. Bhaktanam karmanam chaiva sudanam madhusudana. So why Krishna is known as Madhusudan? Bhaktanam karmanam chaiva sudanam madhusudana. Because Krishna, he destroys the pride and prestige of his devotees. That's why he is called Madhusudan. You see the Madhu, in Sanskrit, Madhu means what? One was? Madhu means, if someone says, Sweet. More specifically, Madhu means honey. So, you see, Krishna is known as Madhusudan. Killer of madhu, that is one meaning. Another meaning is bhaktanam karmanam chaiva sudanam madhusudana. He destroys the madhu of devotees. Now what is honey? You see, if we see, the false ego is compared with madhu or honey. False ego is compared with honey. Now, you see, honey has two qualities. The one quality of honey is very sweet. And another quality of honey is, no, that is there, I mean, but I'm saying another special quality of honey is, if you take more than sufficient, you will be intoxicated. It will be intoxicating if you take more than enough. So why is saying Krishna Madhusudan? Because, it's sweet, like when someone praises us, Prabhu, all glories to Prabhu, it looks sweet, It looks sweet, Great, I am really great, Everyone is praising me, It appears like sweet honey, isn't it? Although we may deny, no, Prabhu, not like, no, like. But when 10 people, 10 devotees, everyone says like, Prabhu, you sing so nicely, you do class so nicely, you manage so nicely, you do dressing so nicely, you cook so nicely. After 10, 15 devotees, says, we feel, maybe they are right. They are right, I am like honey. I am sweet, Otherwise, why they will ask me like this, while they will praise me. So it's called madhu. And when 10 people speaks like this, we get praise from 10, 15 devotees. And, intoxicating. It's called intoxication. Wow, really they are right, So that is called, intoxication of honey. So Krishna is Madhusudan, killer of that intoxication, So, therefore, Brahma and Indra, they realized their mistake. And Brahma and Indra and other demigods, they are teaching us, don't do the same mistake what you did. Don't become falsely proud, because you will understand we are nothing, we are insignificant in this material world. But for them it took long time. It kind of wasted their time. But they at the end they realized their mistake. So Brahma, we are in Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Brahma is teaching us, don't make mistake like me. Therefore, one should become very humble, like Haridas Thakur. See, we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, this Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. I'll just finish with this. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu's biography. And it's not so easy, to write, even to compile Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's biography. He is definitely very exalted devotee. But even after compiling this such a wonderful book, what he says? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Jagai madhai hoite muishi papishta. He says, I am more sinful than Jagai madhai. Can you believe? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is writing. And then he says, Purishir kit hoite muishi lagishta. He says, even I am more lower than the insects of a stool. He is comparing himself. And he further says, More naam loy je tar paap hoy. If anyone utters my name Krishnadas, he will incur sin. We will never consider like this, We'll see, if someone takes my name, his life will be successful. And then he says, More naam loy je tar paap hoy, more naam shune je tar punna khai. And even if someone hears my name from far distance, all his piety will be destroyed. So that was the mentality of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. With that mood, he compiled Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first time. So Brahma, he was surprised, he was shocked, how come Krishna is asking which Brahma, So then Brahma realized his mistake, So therefore, by following the footsteps of Haridas Thakur, who is who was Brahma in his previous life, we should chant the holy name of the Lord, Amani Namanadina, then Kirtaniya Sadahari. Then one can chant continuously. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Ekadashi Mahamahotsava ki. So we finished 3 minutes before. Any question, comment? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you for the lecture. You were speaking.
What did she speak?
You were speaking of 5 qualities by which one can easily or very quickly go back to Godhead, and you were mentioning the first point was being free from false prestige.
Right.
Could you please continue with the 4 other?
Yes. Can you open Bhagavad Gita 15.5? Yeah, you have book here? Yeah, so you got the verse. So 15.5, Krishna is saying Nirmana Moha. So the first quality is the free from false prestige and Moha. Moha means free from illusion. So 2 qualities: free from false prestige, free from illusion. And Jita Sangha Dosha, free from bad association. You know. So that is 3rd. And the 4th one is Adhyatma Nitya. Adhyatma Nitya means that one should, Nitya means daily, one should practice the principles of spirituality daily. And then, so we got how many? 4. And then Binibritya Kama. Binibritya Kama means free from desires, lusty desires. And then, actually there is 6, you know, so it was my mistake. So Dandvair Vimukta. Dandvair Vimukta means free from dualities of this material world. An example is given: happiness, distress, summer, you know, winter, all this. And then it says Gachanti Amuda Padam Abhayam Tab. He can very easily reach to the lotus feet of Lord. Gachanti, he goes very swiftly if someone has these 6 qualities. Or if we actually, it's 5, you know, if we combine both Nirmana Moha, free from false prestige and illusion, then it's 5 actually, it's 5. Free from false prestige and illusion, free from the bad association, and then practicing Krishna consciousness regularly, free from desires, and then free from dualities of this material world. These 5 qualities, can take anyone to the lotus feet of Krishna very quickly. Okay.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Rasananda Prabhu. You mentioned this, by Lord Chaitanya comes Vairagya. And you you mentioned how the devotees of Lord Chaitanya are Vairagya Pradhan, and how the Lord stresses on detachment and renunciation. And at the same time, we also hear that the Lord is Mahavadanyaya, so the most magnanimous. And I was thinking, for us, devotees who are practicing or even trying to be devotees, this renunciation and detachment comes at, for me at least, may not even come in this lifetime. But then the only hope is that the Lord is magnanimous. So
Right.
if you could maybe address this, that would be very
Both are correct. Like as you said, we should have, we should try our best to develop renunciation and detachment, and we should depend on Krishna's mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's magnanimous. But again, there are some examples how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not happy with certain devotees because they didn't display the principle of detachment. For example, Chota Haridas. So it depends, of course. It depends on the relationship between the devotee and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You see, the Chota Haridas case, is very complicated. Even I also don't know what was the mistake of Chota Haridas. Many people are confused. Our acharyas is also there. Not sure what happened. But some say he was looking towards that Madhavi Dasi, last puli. Some say there was a grand daughter of Madhavi Dasi. So but it was very very minor mistake. Even Brahmananda Bharati, he came to Mahaprabhu. He says, Alpa aparad prabhu karha prasad. He says that it was little mistake. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the answer of your question is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I can't see my devotees, they are breaking the principles of detachment, renunciation. Renunciate, how can he act like this? So when all the devotees, they requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to forgive Chota Haridas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you all may request to forgive Chota Haridas, but my mind is not, my mind is not, giving, forgiveness to Chota Haridas. My mind is not forgiving because he's renunciate, how come for a renunciate, the desire for sense gratification is there. But on the other hand, we have the example of Kala Krishna Das. He went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to South India, he was serving, and he got captivated by Bhattadhari women, and he went inside their cave, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looking for, where is my servant, He went to the cave, he dragged his hair, how dare are you? You came to serve me. So now, see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict with Haridas, Chota Haridas, but he was not that much strict with Kala Krishna Das. So the point is that, because, you see, Kala Krishna Das, of course, he again, entered into household life because he was associate of Nityananda Prabhu, whereas Chota Haridas was direct associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was following the, kind of rules of authority. So he then, of course, he complained to Nityananda, you sent this guy with me, Kala Krishna, but he kind of, he left me, allured by, Maya. So then Nityananda Prabhu instructed me, you better, go to household life. Whereas, Chota Haridas, if we see because he broke the principles of, detachment, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he gave 7 lessons from Chota Haridas first time. Prabhupada mentioned the purport. So again, now your question is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is magnanimous. But we have the example of these examples, few examples, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very strict, So because he came to teach Vairagya Vidha Nija Bhakti Yogam, So yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always magnanimous, but at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say, whatever you will do, I'll always remain magnanimous to you. We have to try our best, Like even Pratap Rudra, King Pratap Rudra, king of Odisha, and he tried to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 3 times. First he requested, second he wrote a letter, third time the devotee Sarvabhauma Ramananda requested on his behalf. Now we can say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most munificent, most magnanimous. How come he didn't meet Pratap Rudra even after requesting by 3 times, So, so basically, we have to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is definitely magnanimous, but we have to try our best. And after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displays, magnanimity. Like Pratap Rudra, he tried his best. 4th time, Pratap Rudra, he changed his costume. He appeared as an ordinary people, and he was massaging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet in Jagannath Vallabh garden. So because he tried, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed his magnanimity. So now we can't say why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't display magnanimity in the beginning, because he wanted to taste. So similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may taste out detachment and attachment, for material object. Then only he may display his, But in generally, why we say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu magnanimous? Because he already bestowed something which no one gave before. That is holy name of the Lord. So that is the, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most magnanimous. Already he gave. Why? Because compared to Krishna, compared to Lord Ramachandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most magnanimous. Krishna and Lord Ramachandra, they would never give publicly, freely, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave it to us. But that is, at the same time, when it comes to, when we enter into spiritual life, we become close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Chota Haridas or Kala Krishna Das or Pratap Rudra, he will taste us because we became close to him. But he will not be so strict with outside people. Now we are not outsider, we are devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so that is my understanding. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anything else? Krishna Premara Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay, anything? Yes? Yes.
By this becoming free from false prestige, illusion, false association, daily practice, lusty desires and dualities, dualities. My question is becoming free of distress and happiness. Is there also a sattvic form of happiness, like in goodness, so that happiness is no duality anymore.
So you are saying basically from this verse, the 5 qualities Krishna mentioned. One is Dandari Vimukta Sukha Dukha Sangai, to remain equal in happiness and distress.
Remain equal.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, our reaction should be equal in happiness and distress. That's what Krishna says here.
That we stay calm inside. Whatever happens outside, we are centered inside. Is it?
Inside and outside both.
And outside.
Of course, this is very exalted position. We can't imitate in those characters. But by practicing, see, that's why there is one quality Krishna mentioned in this verse, Adhyatma Nitya. By practicing Krishna consciousness regularly, that is like our morning program sadhana, then after that this comes Sukha Dukkha Sangair. The quality to remain equal in happiness and distress will come. Say, I just want to give you an example, like for example, in distress, when we are in distress, we, react. The way we react, we don't react when we are in happiness. For example, in Mahabharata, we have the example of Dronacharya. Dronacharya, the guru of Pandavas and Kauravas. So Dronacharya's son was died. His name was Ashwathama. So Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj, you speak lie, Ashwathama hata iti gaja. So there was an elephant, Ashwathama, who died. But Dronacharya, he heard as if his own son Ashwathama died. So he got so distressed, he gave up fighting. And then Pandavas killed him. Now we have another example, Arjun. See, Arjuna's son was Abhimanyu. He was killed brutally by 7 warriors. But Arjun didn't give up. That is called remain equal in happiness and distress. So Dronacharya, in one hand, he gave up fighting because in distress he reacted very badly. But Arjun, he didn't react. He continued his fight even after losing his son because he was practicing bhakti, he was with Krishna. So when one is Krishna consciousness, they remain equal in